Yo, what's going on guys? SoFlo Sneakers here, and today I'm bringing you a video all about sneaker servers. So the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of go through what a server is and some of the benefits of using one, and then I'm going to go through some different server providers that you guys can use, and then I'm actually going to show you how to make your own server 100% free that you'll be able to use on the next drop. So on that note, let's get into it. Real quick, if you guys already know what a server is and don't need any explanation on that, I'll leave some timestamps in the comments so you can skip right ahead to where we actually create one. So the easiest way that I would explain a server to someone just starting out is you're basically creating a new computer and using it on your computer. That is probably the most simple way I could put it, but you're basically creating a virtual machine through a provider, just like Google Cloud here, and this virtual machine is basically just like a new computer. So you select all the settings of it, you select the operating system, the CPU, everything like that, and you create a new machine or computer right on your computer. So I know that might sound a little confusing right now, but I promise as the video goes on, and especially after we make one, it's all going to make sense. So servers have a lot of benefits when comparing it to your local host, which is just your computer on your Wi-Fi. And the first is definitely going to be faster overall speeds. So unless you're running on a super expensive computer setup with super fast Wi-Fi, a server is more than likely going to increase your overall speed and your processing functions. So this is going to be good for a few reasons. The first reason is that you're going to get faster pings to the actual website itself. So that basically just means that you get onto the website faster than you would on your local host. And this is also in part due to making a server close to the location of the drop, which we are going to talk about when we're actually setting up the server. The second reason why this is good is because it'll allow you to run more tasks than you would normally be able to do on your local host. So the reason behind this is that typically when we're setting up our server, we're going to be using higher performing specs than our current computer is running on. And this is just going to increase the overall performance of the bots you're running, the proxies you're running, your pings to the websites, your pings to the proxies, anything along those lines. If you have higher specs, then you're most likely going to have higher performance, and that's exactly what the server is being used for. So on a typical drop, I'm usually running from my 2010 MacBook Pro, and yes, that computer is very old, 10 plus years old, but the reason I'm telling you guys this is that because I'm not actually running for drops on my local host on that MacBook. I'm using a server 95% of the time, whether it's for Supreme, Shopify, Yeezy Supply doesn't matter as much because it's a Splash site, but regardless, 95% of the time I'm running on a server for any drop, so it's basically just like I'm running on a high-performing computer, not a 2010 MacBook Pro. So just an easy way to kind of compare your download speeds is you can just type in download speed tester on Google, and we're actually going to do that now so we can see how fast my internet is on my local host. So I just typed in download speed test on Google, and just read this and make sure you're okay with them having your IP address, and then you could run the speed test. So mine's going right now, and I actually have pretty fast internet. Most people's are anywhere from 100 to 200, so mine's 222, so it's honestly pretty good for being local host, but running on the server is going to be even faster. So once we get the server up and running, we are going to test again. So just remember these numbers and then we will compare them at that time. So really quick, we're just going to go over a few different server providers just so you guys can have some options if you don't want to use the one that I'm showing you in the video today. So the one I'm going to be using in the video today is Google Cloud, and the reason behind this is because right when you sign up, you get $300 in free credits, which actually lasts a very long time, at least a few months. So we're going to be using Google Cloud today. I've never had any problems with it, and it has actually worked a lot better for me than AWS, which is another main one that a lot of different people use. And AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. So I don't know if you can get credits on that one. I heard you could, but I've personally never seen them. So when I was using it, I was paying for it. And although it's not too expensive, it's typically 20 to 50 cents an hour to use the server. So one drop shouldn't charge you more than $5. It's really not bad, but I've seen honestly better performance with Google Cloud, just running the same specs and everything, just kind of easier to run, plus it's free. So that is why I picked Google Cloud over AWS, but it is 100% a preference thing, and you just kind of have to see which one works best for you. And I'm going to leave some other server providers in the description, like 10x servers, Chef servers, Iced Out servers. This is if you have a little extra money to spend and you just want to buy a monthly server that, let's just say there's a lot of drops going on for the month, and you just really need a high performance server for the whole month, easy to use, then I'd recommend using one of those down below. But like I said, they are pretty expensive, closer to $100 for the month, so it's definitely going to be way more expensive than this, but it could be beneficial to you if it'll help you get more shoes. So you just kind of have to decide that on your own, and let's get into actually making a server. So once you sign into Google with your Gmail account, there's going to be a little setup process involved. So this blue button, it'll either say get started for free or it'll say go to console. So if yours says get started for free, just fill out the information. You're going to need a card in there, but once you get the free credit trials, they're not going to charge you on your card, but they just need to have one on file for your account to work. So once you have everything set up, then we're going to go to the console. And this is going to be the screen that comes up once you hit console. So it's a lot of information, but we don't really have to worry about too much of this. So we can check over here and we can go to these 3 lines, and there's going to be a bunch of different options we can pick from. So we're going to go to billing first. And as you can see down here, I have $285 left in promotional credits. So you just want to make sure that you have your credits here. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is go back to those 3 lines. And then we're going to want to come right down here to Compute Engine, and then we're going to click on VM Instances. So the way you can think about an instance is it's just a server. So a VM instance, it's a virtual machine instance. So this instance is going to be our server right here. So I already created one sneaker server, but what I'm going to do is go through and create another one with you guys. So we're going to come right up here to create instance. And then this is going to be the settings where you can fill out all the information about your server, the specs you want, the operating system, everything right here. So we're going to give our server a name. So it's going to be Sneaker Server 4. And then the region. So this is important, and this is what I was talking about before, where we want to get as close to the drop as we possibly can. So let's just say that we want to make this server for Supreme for the Relief BOGO coming out tomorrow. So what we're going to want to do, because Supreme servers are located in Virginia, we're going to come over here to region. And we are going to pick US East 4, Northern Virginia. So that is going to get us as close to the Supreme servers as possible, and that is just going to increase overall speeds onto the website. And then for the zone here, the zone doesn't matter too much because we're already in the Northern Virginia region. So for the zone, I just do C, but you can do kind of whichever one. I don't think it makes a huge difference. And then you could scroll down here and we can go to machine configuration. So for the purpose of this video, and just kind of what I do always, I just go to general purpose and I keep the N1 series CPU platform. That is okay. And machine type, so this is what we're going to want to change. So once we're in here, this is where we're going to be able to select the CPU and memory that we want. So typically you should be okay with a 4 CPU and 15 gigabyte memory. But since I have the free trial and since you guys are going to have the free trial, I say why not make it a little more powerful. I usually do 8 CPU and 30 gigabytes of memory. And this is probably over the top for our purposes for just running bots and stuff, but the more CPU and memory, the better. That's the way I look at it. So we're going to click on that one. And then we're going to scroll down here and we're going to go to boot disk. So what the boot disk is that's going to be the operating system that's going to load up onto the server. So we're going to change this. And in the operating system, we are going to select a Windows server. So what's super nice about this is even though you have a Mac, you can still run a Windows server. So it's basically like you're running a Windows computer on your Mac. And this could be good in case a bot doesn't support running on Mac, but it does support running on a server. So that would be a way to kind of get around that. And overall, most bots can be ran on a server. So that is good there. So for the version, it doesn't really matter too much what you pick. You can do this 2012 R2 data center here. This is just what version of Windows it is, so it doesn't really matter too much. You can kind of pick any of these and you should be good. But I would just pick one that just says data center. So you can do this one, the 2012, the 2016. And for the purpose of this video, we're going to do a 2019 server here. And then we don't have to worry about the boot disk type or the size, so we're just going to hit select. So you don't have to change anything here. These settings are all okay. We don't really have to worry about any of that. The firewall, you could allow these two. It's just so you don't get any annoying pop-up messages trying to block your download or trying to block a website, anything like that. Just because we're going on websites that typically we trust, you know, it's Discord or the website for the bot. So we could just check these off. So once these are checked off, our server is pretty much complete. So it says down here, you will be billed for this instance. I don't know exactly why mine says this. Other people say that it's going to use the credits, but mine says this and it still uses the credits, so just make sure that it is using your credits when you're using your server. And if we scroll up here real quick, we can see how much this is going to cost us. So this one's going to be 62 cents an hour, which is pretty expensive for a server, but since it's free and since we have the credits, I don't really care that much. And I have a couple other Google accounts, so I can just use those when I need more credits. So we're going to scroll down here and our server is ready to go, and so we're going to hit create. So now you can see that our new server is creating right here, and how we're going to know that it is turned on is when we get an external IP right here. This usually just takes a minute, and there it goes. So our external IP is here. We have a green check mark next to the server, and if we click on it, we can hit stop, not start. So that's kind of another way you know. So if we wanted to stop running our server, we just hit stop right here. And if we wanted to start it, if it wasn't already, we would just click on it and hit start right here. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a username and a password for your server. So how we're going to do that is we're going to click this little arrow right here next to RDP, and then we're going to click set Windows password. So the username, it can be whatever you want. You just want to make sure that you remember what it is. Just write it down somewhere. So then once we hit set, it's going to give us a one-time password. You want to make sure that you do not lose this password for any reason. If you do, you could get another one, but you might lose data within your server. So just really remember your username and your password, and it's just save it in your text edit or your notes, wherever it may be. Just make sure that you keep a hold of that password. So we're going to hit set, and then my password is going to pop up. So I got my username and my password, and we are just about ready to go. So real quick, if you're on Windows, what you're going to want to do is hit this RDP and download the file. So you're going to want to download the RDP file, and it's going to pop up right here. So now the RDP file downloaded. So if you're on Windows, you should be good and you should be able to open this RDP file right now. But if you are on Mac, you're going to have to go to the App Store and download a free app. So what you're going to want to download is Microsoft Remote Desktop 10, and it looks like this symbol, so just make sure you're looking out for it. And it's completely free, so just download that, and then once you get the RDP file, it's going to open up within Microsoft Remote Desktop. So what I'm going to do now is click on the RDP file, and it says we are connecting to this RDP host, which is the server we just made, and it says it can't be verified, but we literally just made it, so it is okay and it is safe. So we're going to hit continue. So now it's going to ask you for your username and your password. So this is the username we just made, and the password that you hopefully pasted somewhere, you're going to put it right in here and hit continue. So here we go. So we just have our personalized settings setting up, and now we are on our server, and we are running a Windows off of a Mac, which is super cool. So sure, we will let them connect to networks. So now since we are on the server, we are running off of 8 CPUs, and we are running off of 30 gigabytes of memory, and we are also running off of Google Cloud's Wi-Fi and connection as a whole. So the server manager popped up right when we opened up. So we're going to come over here to local server, and we're actually going to come right over here to IE Enhanced Security Configuration, and we're just going to turn this off. So just obviously do this at your own risk, but if you're just going on Discord and you're just downloading your bots, you should be fine. So we're going to turn those off, and then you could come over here and turn off the firewall as well. It doesn't really matter. I'm just going to leave it on for the purpose of this video, but you could turn it off, and it just would probably be a little less annoying when you're trying to download your bots and stuff. But we can X out of here. So we see Internet Explorer down here, but if it's not here, we could just search it up, Internet Explorer, and we'll go on that. And then typically I just download Chrome real quick. So here's Setup Internet Explorer. We could just hit OK, use the recommended settings, but we'll just go to Chrome real quick, and we just download Chrome, very easy. Download Chrome, run, and I typically just do that right away because for Discord you need Chrome to work. Alright, download is complete, so now it is installing, and once you get Chrome, you are pretty much set up. So the last thing that I'm going to kind of show you guys is just the download speed test. And we're just going to test it and compare it to my local host. So we will just go download speed test. We're going to run speed test, and look at that. Absolutely unbelievable download speeds. So we are at 919. So I think before it was 222.7. And we just got 919.2. So now I'm just going to kind of X out, and I'm just going to go back to my Mac. So how I do that is I just hit right here, And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to close, and then I am going to make sure the server is selected and just hit stop. So that kind of wraps up this video. I hope that I answered your guys' questions, and I hope that you guys are able to now get your own server up and running successfully. And I also hope that you guys are able to use your server to become more successful on drops. So as usual, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if this video helped you out. I'll catch you guys on the next one.